I'll never forget the day I introduced my husband to my family. Their smiles were polite, but their eyes told a story I couldn't ignore. Whispers floated across the room like sharp little knives. "He's just a mechanic," my sister murmured, barely hiding a smirk. My mother shook her head as if I'd made a terrible mistake. I forced a smile, trying to ignore the sting, but it lingered like a shadow over the entire evening. Every time Tom laughed or answered a question, someone in the room raised an eyebrow, exchanged a glance, or whispered something under their breath. I felt exposed, like I was the only one seeing the truth. Before we dive deeper into what happened that night, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support keeps this channel alive and ensures you never miss a story that will shock and inspire. Now, back to what happened. Tom remained calm, polite, and charming. He didn't argue or defend himself, he simply smiled and made conversation, his confidence unwavering. I admired him for it, but inside I couldn't stop my blood from boiling. How dare they judge someone they barely knew based on his job? To me, Tom wasn't just a mechanic. He was kind, intelligent, and hardworking, everything my family seemed incapable of seeing. He fixed cars with precision, but more than that, he fixed problems with people too. He had this rare way of making you feel like you mattered, no matter how small or ordinary your life seemed. I wanted my family to see that. I wanted them to understand it, even if it was painful for me to watch them fail. Over the next few weeks, I tried to prepare them, in subtle ways, for the life I was building with Tom. I told them stories about his dedication, his work ethic, and the countless hours he spent learning his craft. But no matter how many times I spoke, the condescending tones never stopped. "Does he make enough?" my aunt asked one Sunday, barely concealing her judgment. "I mean, can he really support you the way you deserve?" I bit my tongue and smiled, nodding politely, but I could feel my face flush with anger and frustration. I wanted to shout, to tell them to leave him alone, but I didn't. I didn't want to stoop to their level, and more importantly, I trusted Tom's integrity to speak for itself one day. That day finally arrived sooner than I expected. A few months after that awkward introduction, I invited them over again, hoping they would get to know him better. I prepared a fancy dinner, set the table with my best china, and even tried to soften the tension with light conversation. But as soon as Tom arrived, their old habits returned. My cousin nudged my uncle, clearly trying to make me flinch. "I mean, can a mechanic really provide the lifestyle you're used to?" she asked, smirking. The words hit harder than I expected. My heart raced, and I clenched my jaw, refusing to let them see the hurt. I watched Tom laugh politely at a joke I didn't even hear, and something inside me swelled with pride and guilt at the same time. Pride because he handled it with grace, guilt because I was still nervous about what they thought. Dinner progressed slowly, filled with polite nods and awkward silences. I tried to interject stories of our life together, but every anecdote was met with judgmental looks or faint scoffs. My mother, who had always been so supportive of my choices before, now couldn't hide her disappointment. It cut me deeper than I expected. I felt like I was trapped in a storm of criticism, unable to shield the person I loved most. Tom, meanwhile, remained calm throughout, letting the comments wash over him like water. But there was a glint in his eyes, a quiet determination that both worried and intrigued me. It was as if he was silently promising that he would prove them all wrong, without a single word. After dinner, Tom stood up and casually said, "I have something to show you outside." Curious and slightly apprehensive, I followed him to the driveway. I noticed the tension behind us, the quiet whispers and glances from my family as they trailed behind, and then I saw it. Parked under the fading light of the evening was a car I couldn't believe was real, a sleek, custom-built sports car, shining like it had been plucked straight out of a magazine. Chrome gleamed under the soft glow of the porch light, and the curves reflected the colors of the sunset in a way that seemed almost unreal. My jaw dropped, and I could feel the tension from dinner start to crack as my family's whispers turned into gasps. Tom's hand rested lightly on the hood, his smile calm but triumphant. "It's all about passion, precision, and dedication," he said simply, as if that explained everything. And in that moment, I realized that it did. My family didn't need to understand the details of his work. They didn't need to see the hours he spent honing his skills, the sacrifices he made, or the small victories he achieved quietly. The car spoke louder than words ever could. It was a symbol of talent, intelligence, and ambition, a statement that success comes in many forms, often hidden behind unexpected facades. I watched my family's expressions shift rapidly. My sister's smirk faltered, replaced by disbelief. My mother's eyes widened, and she stepped closer to the car, as if trying to touch it would make the reality sink in. Even my usually skeptical uncle couldn't hide his astonishment. And through it all, Tom remained composed, letting the moment speak for him. He didn't gloat, didn't need their approval. He simply existed in his truth, confident that his work, his skill, and his character would reveal themselves without drama or argument. As I stood there, watching my family grapple with their assumptions, I felt a surge of emotion I couldn't contain. Relief, pride, and deep, quiet joy mixed into a cocktail that made my chest tighten. I knew then, more than ever, that Tom was extraordinary, not because of the car, or the money, or the admiration he suddenly commanded, but because of who he was as a person. He had integrity, talent, and patience. And while my family may have judged him unfairly, the truth couldn't be denied. He had earned every bit of respect they had so stubbornly refused to give him before. That night, as we went back inside, the tension had shifted. The whispers had turned into quiet conversations, filled with curiosity and wonder. My family still had questions, but their judgment was replaced by a grudging respect, and for the first time, I felt seen, not for the choices I had made, but for the person I had chosen to share my life with. Tom didn't need to fight for our love, for our happiness, or for the respect he deserved. He simply let the truth show itself, and in doing so, he changed the way my family would see him and me forever.